Morning. This is Nita and Miss Panda with the Timepiece Garden. And we're a little breezy, but still, I'm gonna tell you, we're supposed to get warm like yesterday. Yay! I had some rain this morning. Now it's kind of moved on, which is awesome. What are we gonna do? I got 2 rows of Sharon I need to plant. I'm gonna stick one of them right here. I originally wasn't going to because I wanted the butterfly bushes to do their thing, but I've been here 3 years and they've not naturalized. And this is one of those areas that, because of the butterfly weeds that I have here, makes sense, that attract the monarchs, I need this area to stay natural. You know, nothing that I got to come out and put a lot of water on. Milkweed likes swampy water. Butterfly weed does not. And the butterfly weed wins. It's what grows here, and it does well. So everything else has to do well without me doing a lot of stuff to it. So anyway, one of the rows of Sharons is going to go here. I say that because when they go to the hunting cabin and they're riding on the road up there, that makes sense, they can look straight through my window. And I don't like that. I've not liked that since I arrived here, which is why I planted the butterfly bushes. And they were supposed to get tall and wide, and they struggle. They've struggled since the day they were, planted. So my 2 rows of Sharons that are currently in the ground have done well. So Rose of Sharon goes here, and then the next one will go kind of back over, because that's the other Rose of Sharon right there. It'll go back a little farther there. And the goal long term is to just create a hedge. You know, I've got steps here. Great, walk up and down the steps, but the rest of this should be a hedge. Because when you're at the steps, does that make sense? When you're at the steps, it's the bathroom window, and I keep it closed. You know, you're not going to see through the house. So that's what we're going to do first. And then we'll move on to something else, because that's not going to take me too long. It's just 2 pots, you know, and they're small pots. They're baby Rose of Sharon, so. All right, let me get busy. Miss Panda and I'll talk to you in a few. Yep, that's them right there. A little bit of Rose of Sharon. I did not line it up directly with the shrubs, kind of in a line, because I still have daylilies up across the top. And these are not, these are not packed in the way they are over here, over there. So I didn't want to mess with them. So I just kind of put it down. It's a little arrow thingy, which is fine. So I put that, you know, they're planted. Life is awesome. On to the next chore. Talk to you in a few. That's right, we're gonna do the elderberry today. Yes, yes. Okay, so the overall goal. Elderberry are an understory bush, which means they're used to living in that. Does that make sense? And so, come wintertime, my goal is to mimic that. How do we do that? Well, we get the leaves raked up at the bases of the elderberries. Does that make sense? So everybody's got a nice pile of leaves. And then we put some cardboard and the last of that packing paper I have. And then got some of my spacer boards, again, free of charge, to hold that down. That way the leaves don't blow off, the paper doesn't blow off. And once I get that on, does that make sense? Leaves down, paper down, the wood to hold it down, then I prune them back. And all these little branches need to be about 1 inch long, and that way their stems make their own mulch. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what we got to do. Having said that, I got to shorten. I'm not cutting the plastic, but I got to refold it since it's not crazy windy, so it just covers where those 2 thistle plants are to kill them, and that way I can paper everything else. All right, let me get started. I'll show you a picture when I'm done. It'll look pretty, it'll look clean. It doesn't look that way right now. All right. All right, both sides are papered. That side and that side, yay, paper! Hole in the center, that's where the comfrey is. So if you zoom in, you can even see he's got, there you go, little green leaves. So he made it through the frost. Now comfrey is a really good hardy plant. It also brings up a lot of good nutrition out of the ground. It's also a nitrogen fixer, takes nitrogen out of the air, puts it back in the soil. Yeah, that's the other one. It's my little comfrey holes. I if you can see him. He's kind of in the shadow. Anyway, they're there. So what's left? Time to start pruning. All the elderberries. Oh, helps if I zoom back out, doesn't it? I know. Get to go to about 6 inches. And each cane that's down here at the bottom, when it goes to 6 inches, will produce 2 new canes. From there, it will also encourage it to send off runners type thing. So that's the goal. So let me get busy. And those, I'm going to cut them 1-inch sizes and leave them across the top. Again, just for more mulch. You know, it's its own mulch maker. All right, talk to you in a few. Yes, stumps. Almost. I'm only halfway done with the very last one. But what I wanted to show and teach, makes sense, is when you have a hole like that in your wood, that's either old wood or you have a bug infestation. Now, I don't think I have an infestation. I know, there's another one. Sorry, the sun is blinding me. There you go. There's another one. It's got a hole, but the other one coming off of it, see, does not have that hole. It's trying to seal itself already. But what that does is it forces the elderberry to renew its wood. Whether the elderberry is doing this by itself, because this is 3rd-year wood, and it won't produce fruit. Where this one here, you can tell by its size, and this one was 2nd-year wood, and this one was 3rd-year wood. Both of those would have probably have produced fruit again, but it's growing towards the fence, and I don't want it to grow towards the fence. So again, we're at 3rd year. I know I have 3rd-year wood, which will not produce fruit. Cut it back, 6 inches. Didn't have any spots on that one, brown-wise, you know, like the other tree. But you can see, that's starting to turn brown. Again, 3rd-year wood will not produce fruit. That one didn't have any spots. See, this one does, and it's all the way up here. Does that make sense? It's like 4 foot high. It's the taller stuff. We're going all the way back down to where there's new, good wood down there that will produce new sprouts and keep everything alive and well. So I just kind of wanted to show that. You know, almost done. I'm 5'9", and it's as tall as I am right now. It used to be much taller. The others are all 6 inches, all the way down. All right, talk to you later. All right, last thing I did for the evening. Mulberry tree is there. Started laying cardboard. Just a piece. Because that marks where the, what is that? Cherry tree goes. And there's a piece of cardboard. You can't see it because it's under the cloth. Well, you can a little right there. Because that's where a peach tree goes. I'm going to slide down so we can do the thought process. Now, high noon is right here. I get a lot of direct sunlight right here, which is why I want to put the trees here. Morning, you see where that clearing is there? That's about where sunrise happens. So the goal is to keep my swells because I need them, but stagger the trees. So from down here, does that make sense? So I'm going to zoom out a little. There's the cardboard right there. You can see the kind of logs on it. Makes sense. That's a cherry tree. You can see where the green stick is right there. That's where a peach tree is going to go. And then right about there, almost lined up with the pole. Let me get the right pole. Oops, sorry, that pole. Almost lined up with that pole. Makes sense. Is the mulberry. So what happens is they're staggered. So everybody can get a little bit of shade, but nobody will ever be in full shade. That way I can have a little mini orchard. Does that make sense? Yes, I understand some of these want to get 30 feet tall. It's not going to happen. Yeah, and yes, that means I have to constantly maintain. And I'm going to come down to the mulberry and kind of use it as my explanation. Nobody gets a greater than a 2-foot trunk, ever. So this one here is the easiest to explain. There's his bottom. That makes sense. That's a branch. That stays a branch. I will chop the top off. I will never let it get large enough to have more than a 2-foot trunk. Does that make sense? I don't need a 6-foot trunk. And then, 6 to 18 foot of tree, no, I need a 2-foot trunk. And then if it does, 10 foot with the tree, it's only 12 feet tall. And I do that by managing the cuts on the branches. Now the lower half, that's 5'9", only get to branch left or right. It's got to be 6 foot tall before I would let it branch up and down the hill. So they'll create an arch, kind of. Does that make sense? Still produce a lot of fruit. Anyway, yeah, this is one of those, you gotta pay attention for years if you want to see it into fruition. So, yeah, life is awesome. All right, and with that, sun's going down behind the mountain. It's a really warm day today. I'm in a t-shirt and a pair of capris again. Tomorrow we're supposed to get up to 70 degrees, but it's also supposed to rain and then thunderstorms. So that's why I wanted to get the paper out and the plastic out, because the rain will in fact pack all of it down, and that way I don't get weeds growing under the cardboard. And I kind of remember where I want my trees. And I say that because it's time to order. If you haven't already, it is time to order your trees so they get here in time for spring planting. All right. Supervisor's looking at me going, let's go, Mom. It's time to go. So Miss Pan and I, we'll talk to you later.